All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the No Huddle Fantasy Football Podcast. My name's Jake. This is
Kirtley.
Kirtley. Thanks for joining. Roll the intro. All right, what's going on, Kirtley? How we doing today?
I'm great.
Happy Friday. It's kind of gloomy out, but it's whatever. Summer's around the corner. Good show today, talking about our top 10 quarterbacks. I don't got much to say at this point. Deshaun Watson is still in his scandal, so we have no clue if he's playing next year. I'm pretty sure you're saying he's not going to play next year.
I don't think he plays.
Yeah, so we'll take him out of the top 10. We do believe in Aaron Rodgers, though.
He'll play somewhere.
He'll be somewhere. So let's go ahead and start this. This is our top 10 fantasy football quarterbacks of the 2021 NFL season. Kirtley, who do you have at number 1?
I've got Patrick Mahomes. Not much thought to go into it, where he doesn't necessarily have the rushing upside of anyone like Kyler or Josh or Lamar or whatever, but I mean, he's just in the most consistent situation, and he's returning all-pro receiver Tyreek Hill.
Yep.
All NFL receiver or tight end Travis Kelce.
Yep.
Clyde, Le'Veon Bell. I mean, yeah, everyone knows.
It's the same Chiefs. The offensive line situation has me a little bit razzle-dazzled, but it's funny because
I think it's better.
I think it got better. And everyone thought it was so crazy they got rid of their two homeboys after the Super Bowl, and it was just like, did you see him in the Super Bowl? Poor guy. They had one bad game, and they kicked him off immediately. Love it. Love to see it. Yeah, I got Patrick at number 2. I think he's a stud. He hasn't had a losing season, and he has made it to the AFC Championship every year he started. Yeah. So it's just and
he throws a lot of touchdowns.
Well, and he went to back-to-back Super Bowls and lost one of them to old rival Tom Brady. I think this year he's got every reason to try and get back to the Super Bowl. So Patrick Mahomes is my number 2. My number 1, I got Josh Allen.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just got him to repeat.
And mind you, this isn't fantasy. Mind you, this is fantasy, not top 10 NFL quarterbacks. It's I think Josh Allen is going to just completely crush it. He averaged 2.5 touchdowns a game last season, which I'm just that's awesome. Love that number. He also had 8 rushing touchdowns. The rushing touchdowns is what I love. I just think when they get close and he doesn't throw a dart, he gets to score that touchdown and get some rushing yards under his belt.
Yeah.
He's big, he's physical, he can throw freaking darts, he can throw deep balls. He's got stud wide receivers. He's got Emmanuel Sanders this year. I just love the Bills this year. I like Josh Allen.
Well, and his rushing touchdowns have been there his whole career.
Right.
So to me, I have no fear that those are going to go away. I'm he's going to get 7, 8, 9 rushing touchdowns year in, year out.
Yeah.
For what you said, I mean, they get in the red zone, and it's he's your biggest, most physical runner.
Why throw it when we have a tight end that can just walk this
so
thing
it's
in?
just run it in easy. And my big thing with Josh Allen, he's gotten so much better year to year.
Yeah.
And he's still getting better. He's working with Jordan Palmer, the quarterback guru. And then, and then he's got great weapons. I think his weapons got slightly better than last year even.
Sure.
And so, I'm a fan. I got Josh at 3, though. He just
got him at number 3.
Yeah.
So
it's just not often. It's not often that a quarterback repeats at number 1.
Right. Right.
Year after year.
Sure.
And so, or 2 years in a row, I guess is what I'm saying.
Sure.
So for that reason, I kind of took him out too, and then just because I was it's Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, and so to me, Patrick just kind of took number 1.
That makes sense. Who do you have at number 3 then? Oh, I'm
sorry,
it'd be your 2.
2, I have Kyler Murray.
Whoa,
so yeah, because Kyler's got that insane rushing upside, and I think it was through the first 10 or 11 games last year, he was the QB1.
Yep.
And then he kind of fell off. Then his rushing touchdown slowed down a little bit. But it was
the whole Cardinals just kind of fell off there.
Yeah.
Midseason.
But Kyler's, how many he had
819 rushing yards for 11 rushing touchdowns.
And it's just
incredible.
That's great. And then Kenyon Drake's gone. And so now it's he's going to somehow he's going to get even more rushing attempts and yards and touchdowns because you lost your RB1. And Chase Edmonds is good, but he's not as good as Kenyon Drake.
Right.
And
they added
you're bringing in AJ Green, and now there's
Green.
talk of adding Julio Jones.
We'll see about that.
There's talk of it. But it's all that means is that you can see the Cardinals are being aggressive to get Kyler Murray weapons.
It seems like the Cardinals are ready to make a run for the Super Bowl. We'll see. They're in the toughest division in football. And the fact that the Cardinals are good, it's like, it feels like the NFC West has finished the gauntlet, got all the Infinity Stones, and they just have 4 insanely good teams in one division. I think it's crazy. I love to see it. I think Kyler is going to be incredibly good this year. What is it, his 3rd season in the NFL?
It will be, yeah.
So, and the coach is pretty cool. I don't know. It's a great team. I'm excited for Kyler. I have Kyler at number 3. And you have Josh Allen at number 3?
At number 3, yeah.
So, anything to say about Josh?
Yeah, no, I haven't said. It's just he's going to get rushing touchdowns. I think he's going to get better. I mean, he threw 37 touchdowns last year.
Yeah.
I don't know if he necessarily repeats that, but he could.
He could overthrow that.
It's not like he threw for 50. He threw for 37 touchdowns, which was a lot of touchdowns.
Yep.
But it's like there's so much room to go up from there even. So it's not like I don't think he's at his limit. I don't know if he repeats that this year necessarily. Yeah. But it is very possible, and I'm willing to bet on Josh Allen.
Who's your number 4?
Lamar Jackson.
Lamar.
Yeah, I mean, we just saw it a year ago. He was the number 1 quarterback in fantasy, the MVP. He has back-to-back 1,000-yard rushing seasons.
Yep.
Kind of similar with the Cardinals and Kyler Murray. It's like, they looked at their team, saw that they didn't have the best weapons, and they're like, okay, let's be active and let's go get some guys for Lamar.
Yeah.
And so I think they're bringing in 2 really good rookie receivers. They're going to make an impact on that team at least because there's no receivers. And then so anyway, I think that's going to help Lamar a lot. And then they got rid of Mark Ingram, so I'm like his rushing numbers aren't going to go down. He's going to have 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns rushing. So
yeah, I mean, I like Lamar. He falls for me this year a little bit. Mainly just because I'm not sold on him. I didn't like his play style last year. I don't even know where did he finish last year in fantasy?
10.
So 10, yeah. So I mean, going from 1 to 10, it's quite a bit of drop off.
Yeah.
He doesn't fall out of my top 10. He's still a top 10 guy to me. I just don't have him at number 4. I got my homeboy, Go Hawks, Russell Wilson.
Russell.
I'm a Seahawks fan. He just throws a lot of touchdowns, and when he has to scramble, he gets yards. Pretty much I feel like every other game, he breaks one off for 30, maybe 50 yards. Like, for whatever reason, he just has these crazy long rushes. And it's part of how his offense is, part of his crappy offensive line. I just think Russell's going to have another great season. Last year, he finished at 6. I think if the Seahawks hadn't fallen off or people hadn't figured out their offense kind of late season, he probably would have finished higher up.
And he had better numbers last year than he did the year before.
Yep.
And 2 years ago, he finished number 3. Last year, he just 6.
Yeah.
And so it's like, even if he drops off, I have him at 5, so just one spot lower.
Right.
But I'm like, even if he falls off and doesn't throw as many touchdowns, it's still very possible he finishes in that top 5. I mean, he's been top 10 quarterback.
Yeah,
every year.
I think
except
Russell
for one.
Wilson's hot. I think he's getting chemistry with DK. Tyler Lockett is insane. They got that new kid from that small school, Eskridge. Yeah, I think he's pretty good from the tape I watched. So the Seahawks look good next year.
Well, the good news with the Seahawks is they run so many 2 receiver sets. You don't really need a great third receiver. It's like, yeah, they'll put 3-4 receivers on the field enough for it to matter. But it's like, yeah, you're fine having
they got Gerald Everett too. From the Rams.
And they got Gerald Everett.
He loves tight ends.
He does. They just can't stay healthy, any of them.
Right.
But
right. Maybe Gerald will be the guy. That'd be sweet. Yeah. So you said you had Russell at number 4 or 5?
He's at 5 for me. Yeah.
Okay.
Just one spot lower.
Yeah, I got Justin Herbert at number 5.
Justin Herbert.
It's kind of a hot take. I don't know. I think he's a young stud. And he only had 1 game where he didn't throw a touchdown. He also had 5 rushing touchdowns. Bro, he was just a rookie last year.
Yeah.
And playing against the Chiefs twice that year, which were some of his best games. Actually, one of those games was like a gimme game, I think, at the end of the season. Was that the Chiefs Chargers where they benched like Patrick and Tyreek?
Oh, I don't even know, honestly. Probably.
Yeah.
Last game of the season.
Either way, he had some crazy games against some really good teams. and they were dogfights. I mean, I think they would have had a winning season if they had a different coach.
Yeah, well, that's what's crazy. So they lost their head coach, who wasn't a bad head coach. Okay. He wasn't a bad offensive coordinator, but he was kind of a bad head coach, where it's like they scored a lot of points, but then blew a lot of leads, lost a lot of games late. And so that's one of the reasons Herbert fell for me. I still have him in my top 10.
Yeah.
He just fell a little lower, but
I don't know. I think they would have won a few more games if they had a better coach. I love Herbert. I'm real big on him this year. They got Austin Eckler back. Like, come on. Like,
that helps.
They're going to look good next year. So, I also have, I like Keenan Allen this year too. So, I'm just a big Chargers fan this year. If he stinks, if Keenan Allen stinks, screw the Chargers. I hope the Chiefs win forever. You know what I'm saying? So, it's that easy for me. Mm-hmm. Number 6, who do you got?
I have Tom Brady.
Whoa.
Yeah. This is just what Tom does. He
TB number 6.
Yeah, and I mean, first year with Bruce Arians, who every quarterback that comes into a Bruce Arians offense typically struggles at the beginning, and Tom still threw for 4,600 yards and 40 touchdowns. And so if that's struggling,
that's Tom.
Yeah, I was gonna say if that's him struggling in Bruce's offense, and then let's wait till next year when they returned everybody.
Yeah.
And so I mean, I don't see a scenario where Tom's bad. So I put him at 6 again. Kind of a Mahomes scenario as well, where it's like, yeah, maybe he doesn't necessarily do anything more than he did last year.
Yeah.
But I don't see him doing much less either. And so I'm like, just for the consistency factor, it's like I'm willing to take Tom higher than most of these other guys.
Oh yeah.
Just because I'm confident in his situation.
Oh yeah. Tom Brady is not someone I'm ever gonna bet against. I've been fortunate enough to make like one-on-one bets with buddies, and they'll be like, I hate Tom Brady, so I'm going to take the Rams or the Eagles or, the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. And I'm just like, I'm never betting against him. Now, he does lose every now and then.
Eagles beat him.
He does lose every now and then, but I'm never going to bet against Tom Brady. That's just, it's like a 25-75, you know what I'm saying? Like, I like Tom Brady, so I have Tom Brady at number 7.
Well, and one thing with Tom that I feel like kind of gets overlooked, he'll give you 3 rushing touchdowns a year.
He'll get you some.
On 6 yards.
He'll get you some.
But those little 1-yard sneaks, it's like, I mean, 2 or 3.
That's 6 points in most leagues. Like,
it's like, that's not that big of a deal, but it's like, oh, well, really, he had 43 touchdowns total last year.
Yeah.
And it's like he threw for 40 and ran for 3. And it's just like, whatever. It's just nice. Yeah, nice little extra cherry on top.
So I love Tom. I have him at number 7. My number 6 guy is Dak Prescott. Hail Mary touchdown, yeah. Post Malone. Did you see that? Did you see the schedule release commercial with Post Malone as the postman, like the post officer? He came into Jerry's world and like hung out with Jerry and like threw
and Dak and.
Like him and Jerry started doing this with trading cards of Dak and Zeke, and like Dak and Zeke were just like, "What are you guys doing? Looking up? Super good. You gotta watch it. It's good."
So that's why Dak's your number 6 or whatever.
Yeah, I'm honestly Post Malone's my number 6, but nah, Dak Prescott number 6, 9 touchdowns in 4 games. Are you kidding me? And he got paid. And his team, like, they got defense this year. They drafted pretty good. So as long as Dak is healthy, and I'm sure he's healthy, and he got paid and all these awesome things, 3 great receivers. They got an awesome tight end, 2 good running backs. I just like the Cowboys this year a little bit. We'll see what happens. I don't love their coaching situation. I don't know much about their offensive line, but the Cowboys objectively, they look pretty good. Hoping that their defensive players they drafted pan out. Because if your defense is good, it's going to mean your offense is going to be on the field. And so... Dak didn't make my top 10. Yeah.
And I know, like, and he's been a top 10 quarterback pretty much his whole career. He might have been the number 1 last year. And if that had happened, I'd probably be viewing this differently. But they feel like such a dumpster fire to me. The Cowboys as a whole.
Oh, just like the whole organization.
Yeah, and they have so much talent. And honestly, other than just me putting other guys over Dak, there's probably no reason why he shouldn't be in my top 10, really. But I was just like, I get it. Okay, you have all the receivers and and the running back and the offensive line. Your defense is terrible, so you're going to have to score a lot of points every week to win. It's like it's a perfect storm, but I can't buy into them this year for some reason, and I can't necessarily tell you why other than I'm just not bought into the Cowboys as a whole.
I don't think you're really ever into the Cowboys.
Never. But I'll still draft their guys in fantasy.
Sure.
Zeke and Dak and all that.
Sure.
But I don't know. For some reason this year, I don't feel good about Zeke. I don't feel good about Dak this year. I don't feel good about the Cowboys as a whole. So I just think he'll probably be a top 10 quarterback. But I don't know. I'm not willing to bet on it.
You got that Kirtley feeling.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hey, I mean, you got to follow your gut in fantasy. I think it leads the way. Did you have a top 6 or your number 6?
I did Tom. I got
okay.
7.
So you're 7. Yeah.
Rodgers, Aaron Rodgers.
Oh.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, Aaron was number 2 last year. He threw 48 touchdowns, and last year the biggest thing with Aaron that really just stood out to me, he had 12 games with 3 or more passing touchdowns, and I mean 12 out of 16, which is crazy. Then you'll have one more game this year, but obviously, whether or not he plays in Green Bay, he's Aaron Rodgers. He's going to be top 10 quarterback. I'm not going to bet against him. He fell a little bit to me down to 7 versus where he was last year too, just because I mean a lot of tension in Green Bay.
Oh yeah.
And then if you go to a new team, you're at a new team.
Yeah.
So whatever ends up happening with Aaron, I'm like, yeah, you're going to be top 10, but he'll be back. He'll be back top 10 in my opinion.
You're probably not throwing 48 touchdowns. Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Maybe.
My number 7 was Tom Brady, like I said. My number 8 is Aaron Rodgers. I think he's insanely good. He had an insanely good season. He's going to downshift. I mean, if he goes back to Green Bay, I think he'll have another I hate you year, but I think he'll cool off. Maybe. Or he just won't care. I don't really know. That's why he is where he is. Plus, he's kind of old, too, so, like, a couple big hits and, like, whatever happens. Same with Tom there, but not too worried about that. Who do you have at number 8?
I have Matt Ryan. Matt's just real consistent to me. Like, even, same thing with, I think it was Russ, where he had slightly better numbers this year than he did, or last year than he did 2 years ago.
Right.
And he was 2 spots lower.
Yeah.
And so it's like, to me, that just speaks to how many good quarterbacks there are. But I'm like, okay, he's still putting up good numbers. He was number 12, still a QB1 in most leagues. And then you get Arthur Smith. And with Arthur Smith, Ryan Tannehill was number 8 last year with that OC.
Yeah.
And you're going to bring him in. You don't necessarily have the Derrick Henry, but I think it's a little bit slightly different system than Matt Ryan's ran his whole career.
Sure.
They run a little bit more spread, that he has, and now they're going to be a lot of play action, a lot of anticipation, a lot of timing, which I think is perfect for Matt Ryan.
Check. Kyle Pitts.
Yes, also Kyle Pitts.
Big time.
Maybe he loses Julio this year, but you still have Calvin Ridley, Kyle Pitts.
Oh, they also got Mike Davis.
They got Mike Davis. It's not bad. I like Javion Hawkins. I think Javion will probably end up being, and I think he went undrafted, kid out of Louisville, but I think Javion Hawkins is going to end up being the starter in Atlanta. I could be really wrong. That's like a big sleeper for me, and I got him in a lot of dynasty leagues.
Yeah.
But I don't believe in Mike Davis. Mike Davis has never been great in his career.
Right, he's got those
he had
thunder thighs.
Yeah. He just had some games, and even last year, I think.
Well, last year, I mean, it was totally situational. Like, he was on a team that all they knew how to do was give to Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey's gone. Well, Mike Davis, I hope you can do it. Like, yeah.
And he still only had, I think he had less than 700 rushing yards last year.
Yeah.
And so I'm not a buyer or a believer in Mike Davis necessarily, but he's fine. But then you have Hayden.
Kyle Pitts, come on. That guy's going to be a stud.
Yeah, well, and we saw Jonnu Smith last year in this Arthur Smith offense.
Yeah.
Jonnu Smith had a great year.
Great year.
And so you're going to have Kyle Pitts and Hayden Hurst in this run style offense that also likes to throw to their tight ends.
Yeah.
And then Calvin Ridley can probably go into that A.J. Brown role like they had. And I think it's a perfect storm for Matt Ryan to just kind of do what he's done his whole career.
Have a year.
He's going to have 4,000 yards and somewhere between 25 and 30 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Or 33. Like
Matt Ryan falls for me this year for no reason, solely because there's other guys that are more entertaining. That is it. Same, kind of like with you and Dak. Like, it's just like, whatever. I could take it or leave it. with Matt Ryan. At number 9, I have, because number 8, I have Aaron Rodgers. Number 9, I got Lamar Jackson.
Lamar.
Great rushing. I'm hoping he can figure out some passing this year. I feel like that's what's been lacking for him in the NFL. He always has those crazy deep balls to Marquise Brown wide open, but that doesn't make an NFL quarterback to me. Oh. So get
makes
some passing.
Fine fantasy quarterback.
Sure, but they also lost. They also lost their tackle. So
Orlando Brown,
which I don't think he was insanely good in any fashion, but whatever. That just means more rushing yards. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I feel like people figured out his rushing a little bit last year. That's why he just kind of falls for me. But again, top 10 guy, so we'll take him. Who do you have at number 9?
I've got Justin Herbert.
Whoa.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he broke all those rookie records last year. 31 touchdowns, over 4,000 yards, and he even played one less game. And he was awesome last year. He loses Anthony Lynn.
Yeah.
He has a new system as a second-year player. He gets Eckler. He still has Keenan Allen, which is like a big security blanket. Lost Hunter Henry.
Bye.
Which that one kind of hurts, but Hunter hardly plays anyway. He had some connection with Guyton and Mike Williams last year. I think it's like he's going to be great. The only thing really that catches me on him is the rushing touchdowns. Like he had 5 rushing touchdowns last year, and I don't think he necessarily does that again. I feel like they were kind of random.
Like sporadic a bit.
Yeah, and so not saying maybe he does it, and we'll see going forward, but to me, he's not a 5 rushing touchdown type of quarterback.
Yeah.
We have seen him be very athletic. He can run and move his feet, but I think his rushing touchdowns probably go down.
I think if he gets more comfy, he may rush more.
I think they want him to be a pocket passer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they don't want him
running. My thing is like he's fast and he's good at it.
He is.
Like if he
But it's like do you want your good pocket passing quarterback running around and getting hit if he doesn't have to?
Yeah.
And so I think they're going to want him to be in the pocket.
Sure.
But he'll still he'll have 3 or 4. He could get to 5 again. Like I'm just not going to bet on it.
Sure. That's fine. I mean, you think 5 is that significant?
It's 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think it is in comparison to was Kyler the number 1 rushing
Yeah, he had 11.
Yeah. And so 5 is pretty good.
Yeah.
If 11's your ceiling, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's not a bad take. Number 10, I have Matthew Stafford. I like Matthew Stafford. Big time Mac guy. I just think Matthew Stafford in a McVay offense is going to be...
That's going to be scary.
Pretty cool. I'm really excited for the Rams. It sucks because, I love the Seahawks, but objectively and fantasy-wise, I think Matthew Stafford's going to be throwing some tutters, getting some touchdowns. I just think that whole Rams team is going to be completely different this year with Matthew Stafford. Jared Goff threw so many, just wide open bad passes that I think Matthew Stafford is just I don't know. To me, it's like when you get a good guy who's been in a crappy situation his entire career, and he finally, in the later days of his career, it's like LeBron or it's like Kevin going to Golden State. You know what I'm saying? It's just like you get a good player going to an even better team with an even better coach. It's like awesome. This is going to be great. And I think mentally it does something for Matthew. I'm just going to wreck people. So that was completely gut feeling and not objective at all, but Matthew Stafford, I think he looks good next year. He's my number 10.
My 10 is probably the opposite of that. It is very objective and not very much of a gut feeling. I got Carson Wentz, who I've defended his whole career. I think his struggles have been a circumstance of his situation, and then we see all this come out about the Eagles front office sucking his people. Whatever. We've seen Carson be very talented before. Last year, he's the quarterback number 22. Doesn't necessarily look good, but when you're considering how much hate he got last year, you'd have thought he's the worst quarterback ever, and he still finishes quarterback 22. He's got to jump 12 spots, but it's like he's going back, reuniting with Frank Reich. When last time he was with Frank Reich, he was the number 5 quarterback, was having an MVP season before he got injured. He's reuniting with the QB coach he had, in Philly. He's not the QB coach there, but he's still there in Indianapolis. He's going to have way better weapons in Indianapolis than I think he's ever had in Philadelphia.
Right.
Because he's going to have Michael Pittman, T.Y. Hilton, Paris Campbell, and Jonathan Taylor, and then Marlon Mack, not to mention all those guys, and one of the best offensive lines in the league.
Yeah.
And so to me, this is a perfect storm for Carson Wentz to kind of slide by and end up in the top 10 again as a fantasy quarterback. And we've seen him capable of doing it. I mean, he finishes the number 5, like I said. He finishes the number 12 a couple years ago while he missed some games as well. And then last year even, like I said, with how terrible of a season everyone thought he had, and he did have, he was quarterback 22, isn't good, but it's not as bad as you would imagine when you're thinking Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a great year for him.
Jack Doyle.
Jack Doyle.
Is that your tight end?
Yeah, and then they have the guy that used to play basketball in college, whatever his name is.
Dallas Clark or Dwayne Allen?
No. Those guys are retired, I think.
I'm on Google. Whatever. Yeah, I don't know. That sounds a lot like Matthew Stafford's situation. So if they're both at number 10 for us, we'll see who wins. Should we make a bet on which quarterback, fantasy-wise, finishes higher?
Carson or Matt?
Just like a $5 bet? On...
Bro, I'll water bet you.
Yeah, let's do it. I bet Matthew Stafford is a top 10 fantasy quarterback.
I bet Carson is higher than Matt Stafford.
Oh, okay, that's the bet?
Yeah. I mean, what if they're both top 10?
Oh, yeah, you're right. You said it correctly. Gotcha. $5 bet, whoever finishes higher wins. If neither of them make top 10, it's a push.
Push.
Fair?
Sure.
Love it. All right, guys, that's our top 10. Thanks for listening. Let us know if you love, hate, or disagree. Oh, notable mentions. Can't forget them. Carson Wentz is a notable mention for me. Matt Ryan. And Trey Lance.
Trey Lance.
Kid's a stud.
Yeah, keep an eye on him.
His tape, I love it. He played in a crazy cool offense at South Dakota State? North Dakota State.
North Dakota.
A lot of play action, a lot of quarterback keepers. I think the 49ers is the perfect team to be doing that with.
Yeah. I got a lot of like notable mentions, or just kind of more so guys keep an eye on, where Justin Fields, if he ends up starting at any point, Trey Lance, if he gets the starting job. Just because I think they're in better situations.
Draft these guys late. Do not take them early if you're looking at drafting, because
I'm just like
they're not starting yet.
And some of them I wouldn't even touch until I knew they were starting.
Yeah.
Just because like why waste that roster spot if they're the backup?
Yeah.
But they're in better situations than Trevor Lawrence, even though they're not starting as early as Trevor probably.
Yeah.
But if either one of those guys, Justin Fields or Trey Lance, gets the job, I think they're going to be they're going to have great years, mostly because of their rushing abilities, and then they're in great situations. And we've seen a lot of times with young quarterbacks coming in the league that are able to run.
Justin Fields.
Like having
Justin Herbert.
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts. I mean, Josh Allen.
Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
God dang.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I'm going to keep an eye on those two.
Have to.
I'm going to kind of keep an eye on Derek Carr.
Same. It's just like you're kind of good at football sometimes.
It's just the problem is I'm probably not going to draft Derek Carr.
It feels way too weird to draft him.
I feel like there's a lot of other guys with higher upsides, like Dak.
Yeah.
Like Dak will probably get taken away. But if I'm sitting there and I have Derek Carr, Carson Wentz, Matt Stafford, I'm taking Derek Carr last of all those guys.
Yeah.
And I just he doesn't have as high of an upside as those guys, but he's consistently like the quarterback 15. I'm also watching Kirk Cousins. At
what point are you, like, if Deshaun Watson were to play this year for the Houston Texans, where is he in your top, whatever?
5. He's finished QB 5 the last 3 years.
Yeah.
so
it's tough. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us at the No Huddle Fantasy Football Podcast. My name's Jake.
I'm Kirtley.
Thanks for joining. Like and follow us. See you soon.